Hey everyone, we're going to go ahead and walk through transferring your information from your compatibility matrix into a bubble diagram. I have a sheet here that you can see gives you some descriptions as to what a bubble diagram is. Down at the bottom, you'll know that there's some key points about the bubble diagram, which indicates that if bubbles touch, they're going to demonstrate a strong relationship. If they can't be touching because of how they end up being placed in the diagram, you can still convey that same meaning by drawing a solid line to it. If bubbles don't touch, it means that there isn't a relationship that we need to establish within this. This has nothing to do with the layout within the unit itself or the residence, the office, whatever kind of environment it is. It more has to do with how do spaces interact with one another. So we've taken a copy of what we would call the compatibility matrix, and in this compatibility matrix, we use plus for our strong relationships and minus for weaker relationships. So there would be little or no interaction between spaces. Also, no direct access is needed as well. In some cases, you may even have a strong relationship, but you still want privacy. So there's some different ways that you can include that with how you set up your bubbles. So I'm going to go ahead and do my best here so that you can see both of these at the same time. So in looking at the pluses and minuses, you'll see that I've created my bubbles according to the proportion that they think they'll be within the space. So you can see that based on what my client wants, apparently they want quite a large master bedroom, maybe a little bit more area of floor, if possible, even more than the living room, whereas the dining room can go down in the size for that and next to the kitchen. For some of you, the biggest bubble might be the kitchen, or it might be the living room, and you have to identify that proportional relationship. And then when you actually go into our next step, which will be the block diagram, it means that you'll actually formally measure these out. Right now, we're just using these scaled comparisons to identify proportion. All right, so let's get started. It's kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg, but I'm just going to go ahead and start down with my list. And you can see that the dining room and the office have a minor relationship. So apparently we don't need to typically eat while we're working, so we're going to leave those separate and I will space them out. As you go through, I've done this in pencil like I have recommended in the past, only because you may want to change. These need to match up, and I'll keep going through that demonstration. But sometimes in doing this and thinking how about spaces interact, you may change your mind slightly. If all of your relationships are plus or all are minus, you're going to need to really think and break down what it is that may be needed. And you'll see some examples in here. From the living to the foyer is a strong relationship. The guest bedroom, it's a minor one with the living room. It's minor with all these, but I can't do it minor. Even if it was off on its own, it still has to somehow access a bathroom. So I've connected that to the ADA bath with a strong relationship. And maybe when they first might enter the home, so you get a reception area, and then rather than interacting with other spaces, we want to somehow have direct access to that guest bedroom, and that's what we mean by that. So I'll keep going down the list. When you take a look at so we'll go down so we've got the dining room is minus with the office. Then we have, and I'll use a pencil here, we have the dining room with the kitchen. So you're working your way down and bringing your way up. So the dining and the kitchen have to be connecting. Now let's see, did the kitchen and the office? No, so I'll leave it off on this side. If I keep going down, now I'm going to establish the dining room with the living room. And we can see that the dining with the living is a strong relationship, and apparently the living and the kitchen are as well. So remember, bubbles that touch, and they need to specifically touch, not just sort of being like this and near each other, they physically need to touch. So right now, we've established that the dining is weak to the office, the dining is strong to the kitchen, and they're connected. You don't want your bubbles to overlap though. You want them to just nicely touch. If in the end you want to just take a picture of it with the bubbles laid on, that's fine. You could try to physically glue it down, but if you were just to take a picture of this, this should work well. Other times, if you want to do versions of this, you could take a piece of your trash paper and lay it over it and try different ways, and then keep those different ways that you ran the scenarios. I'm just going to do it just like this for the short demo that I want to make so that you get the idea. All right, so we did the living. Now, the dining to the foyer is not important, but when we see the office in the foyer, it appears that that is a strong relationship. So that's great. Now I can start seeing how that office is going to come into play. So now I've brought in the foyer. We can see that the foyer has a strong relationship not only with the that office, but also with the kitchen and the living. So now we're going to bring this down here, and this is where the bubbles are a good thing, because now I can put this down. I want to keep it within my page, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start turning it, and rather than having to redraw the whole thing, now I don't have to do that. Okay, so I'm keeping the same relationship. You don't have to keep a title up at the top. You can just label it as a bubble diagram. You do, however, want your key down at the bottom so you can see what that all includes. All right, so we're going to still make sure that these guys touch, and now we knew we had the foyer has to be a strong relationship with everything but the dining. Okay. Now, as we go through, we have the guest bedroom. That does not have to be a strong relationship with the dining, but it does appear that it has to be with the guest bedroom. Now, if the bubbles are not touching, that means that it's a weak relationship. If I want to exaggerate that, this is where you could come in and you could draw a line as it indicated to do so. But let's keep going with this. I'm going to let it touch for right now. And I'll decide, I could even just turn it a little bit so that that goes, yeah, that works pretty well. Then I don't even have to do the line. All right, now I still have some other rooms to put in play here. So let's take a look. The dining room doesn't have to be around anyone else. That's all negative, or interact with anyone else. The office is pretty much only a strong relationship to the foyer, and we've conveyed that here. Now, if I look at the kitchen, if I go to the kitchen, I see a strong relationship with the living room, which I had lost. So I got to make sure I pull that back together. Then I have the kitchen to the, what else? The foyer, which it does touch there. Then we have a kitchen is minus to the guest bedroom, minus to the master bedroom, and the, let's see, so now it's to the walk-in closet is a strong relationship to the kitchen. All right, so we know it's a strong relation to the kitchen. Let's see what else that walk-in closet has to be. Guest bedroom. So, or no, foyer. So the foyer and the walk-in closet. Oh, okay. So now this is going to come over. Does this walk-in closet have to be close to the office? No. So this is one where I will have to start using some kind of line. So what would happen is you would draw a straight line that would connect those two. So even though they don't touch, they still show a strong relationship. And then I leave this here because I can touch it. You only use the line when you can't. Next, we would see that we have, let's go back to the kitchen. We have that with the walk-in, and then the kitchen is also going to be to that ADA bath. Let's take a look. Oh, we do have an ADA bath already. Okay. So the ADA bath we have as a strong relationship to the, well, master guest. Oh, okay. Kitchen has to be close to the kitchen. Does it need to be near the dining room? Nope. More or less, we have to have it where it's going to go to the living room. Ooh. So the ADA bath This might be better placed up here. We're going to have it to the master. So let's go ahead and again, just leave it. Don't worry about the page part yet. We can figure that part. I'm mostly doing it so you can see the background with it and also kind of see how it would pair on your page. But that might be where you sketch it over, take a picture of it, and then you can go ahead and arrange it on the sheet because you want it to fill most of that 8 by 10 inch area for the finished 8.5 by 11 inch page. So we have the ADA bath is going to be close to the master bedroom and the guest bedroom, which it does in this case. The ADA bath needs to be close to the foyer, which means I also have to connect a line here to that ADA bath. Oh, this is fascinating. Okay, ADA bath to the living room. That is already connected. And the ADA bath to the kitchen. So this is where I have to shift this over, and I'm going to have to use lines so that I can show these strong relationships. Wow, this is fascinating. Okay, the master bedroom went to that ADA bath. Now we do have a master bath. The idea here, I think, is that you would have the ADA bath to the master, to the ADA here. If we take that off the plate and the master bedroom is no longer to the ADA bath, that does give us some other options. The master bedroom is going to be close to here for the master bath. The master bedroom to the foyer was another strong relationship. So why don't we go ahead, and what we're going to do is we'll do a connection like this where the foyer would be an inner relationship with, I'll turn this just a little bit. This will have the relationship with the foyer and then the master bath. But what I'm going to take off is that master is not to the ADA bath anymore. If I can't fit it, it's going to have to do that. But let's go for like the best scenario possible where we can still fit it in. So if we say master bedroom with that bath, that's a strong relationship. But now we've changed the ADA bath to be minus with that. So when you're going to turn in your matrix once again with any changes, but that's the kind of idea where you may have to change it, but for the most part, you should stick with what you already assigned to your strong and weak relationships. But in giving the bubble diagram, we also need to see what we have for the other. So since this doesn't fit nicely in the page for the presentation, what I would do once again is I would take a picture of this, reassemble it on a finished sheet of paper, maybe just going to use a basic white sheet of paper, and then I would go in and do some nice lines with a straight edge to make a nice sharp line, and then you could put your title block and so forth on it. So that's the demo about making a bubble diagram.